All right, we are back. As you guys can see from the title, we are going to be doing a 2023 NFL mock draft. We are 6 days away from the actual NFL draft. We got our good buddy Ron Stewart here. We are going to go back and forth, and we don't know where we're picking yet. So, Danny, cue up the Derby. This will determine whether we pick, 1, 2, or 3, and then obviously we'll continue in that order. So if I'm picking 1, then I'll also pick 4, I'll also pick 7, and so on and so forth. And I have like a thing to pull up so that when we're actually on the clock, we know what teams we're controlling in case you want to do trade ups and stuff like that. So, Danny, take it away. Ron, I'll let you introduce yourself after the Derby here.
Oh, okay. I thought it'd go
my
right
boy
away.
Run fast.
Let's go. Dude, when we did this for the redraft league, I was just screaming, "You run, you lazy fuck." Like I was just going
I don't know
off.
what I'm even I don't even know what I'm hoping for.
Oh, buddy. Look at the boys roll. They're huge.
There's like 5 settings, like fast, faster, fastest, and you picked the slowest one.
Oh, dude, this is the variance though. Look at Bush. He's off to a good start, but I can guarantee you he won't finish first.
Yeah. So, I mean, pick 1 actually has the most picks. Like, you get 1 extra pick than 2 and 3. Since this is going so slow, I'll just show this. If you want the
perfect.
Jets, you're hoping for pick 1. I want the Bucks, so I'm hoping for pick 1. Danny's going to want pick 2 to get the Cowboys pick most likely. So, that's where we're going to be at here.
I don't even want the Jets, dude.
Dude, yo, I'm zooming.
It always it's never the guy that's out in front though. It's always
Facts.
like, the third place guy that just runs in and scoops it up.
For real. Look
You
at
guys
Ron.
have any Jameson Williams takes while we wait for our boys to
yeah,
to
this
run
is
here?
like
Anybody want to
watching
place any
Ezekiel Elliott
wagers?
run down the hole right now. Jesus.
I have one share of him in Dynasty, and it's in the Mickey Mouse League where I'm hard tanking anyway. So
It's not terrible.
You know what I mean? It's not too bad.
It's not too bad, dude, but it's I don't know. I know
Oh, wait, we got to finish here. Here we go.
Oh,
I'm third for sure, right? Yeah, no, my guy's fucking lacking. Oh,
he's gonna be.
I sold.
Oh, that's gotta be Bush at 1.
Yeah, I
I
sold.
might steal it.
crap.
I might steal it. Oh,
No,
okay.
got it.
dude.
All right, we're good.
My guy was lazy, bro. He was not having it. So here, let me.
All right,
share
so
this
I'm going to
right
be
now.
picking 1. Danny, if you want to pull up the PFF
I got
mock
it.
draft simulator here. So I'm going to be picking at 1, which means I'm picking for the Panthers, the Colts, Raiders, Eagles, all those teams there. Ron finished second there, so you're going to be picking for the Seahawks twice and a number of other teams there. And then the Cardinals, and the Lions twice is where Danny's going to be picking there. So I get an extra pick, which is nice.
And just to reiterate, we're doing this predictively, what we think.
Yes, we are doing this predictively. So initially we were like, oh, we should do this like what we would do. But I'm honestly having so much fun like trying to figure out what's actually going to happen that I kind of want to do a predictive one because it seems more fun to me. So the only real lock is that Bryce Young is going first. Everything else is like up in the air. So you can just, phone the pick in. It's Bryce Young 1 overall to the Carolina Panthers, the 98th percentile S2 score. All the scores came out today. It looks like, Stroud had like an 18th percentile number. Levis was up at like 92% or something like that. I can't remember exactly. And then we had Richardson had like a 78th percentile number or something like that. So I'm
not buying. I don't think Stroud is, dude. Like 18th percentile is like pretty garbage, dude. Like you gotta be like I doubt. Like he's got to be smarter than 18th percentile, dude. Like it seems like there's some sort of like I don't know. I've been talking about the industrial complexes in this draft, and it feels like people are out to get Stroud. Like they're talking about the Manning Academy. They're like, oh man, this guy bailed on the Manning Academy, and he's like a bad guy and stuff. I think it's, dude, 18th percentile. Like he must have not even he must have been on his phone for the test. Bro. Like,
he must have showed up like at 5 a.m. right after he got out of bed.
Absolutely had a rager the night before. Like there's no other way.
Yeah, no, my guess, honestly, is that come draft night, I do think Stroud will not be QB2 off the board. I think there's going to be at least one quarterback that goes over him. But I'd guess come draft night, we're like, oh, yeah, that's why all this stuff came out about CJ Stroud. Because like Indianapolis gets him at 4, and they're like, they've just been leaking shit for the last month trying to get him to fall down to 4 to them. I don't know if people actually do this, but this is just my guess.
Yeah, for sure.
At number 2 here. This is where, like, when I usually do these mocks, like, I sit down and go back and forth a million times on what the hell I'm about to do. this is where it gets so tricky because we've been penciling in like this is sort of how I view the Texans. I think in the event that the Panthers like shock the world and they take Stroud or they take Richardson or whoever they might take, you can pencil this in as Bryce Young very easily.
Okay.
But like Bryce Young's gone. I've heard rumors, like I don't know how much you guys buy the rumors of like Stroud has like a agent that like also is the agent of Deshaun.
That I don't think anybody actually has any real truth behind that. I think they're just connecting the dots there. And I think Zerline was the first one to do that connected those dots. And he said on the ETR podcast that he just connected Tyree being more the prototype of the Texans and the fact that they might not want to deal with Stroud's agent as the reason why he was like the first guy to not pick a quarterback 2 overall.
Makes sense.
So I'm looking here, like I guess like a trade back is somewhat on the table, but at the same time, like they have a pick at 12. Like I think this has to be sit in the pocket, take Will Anderson, or do something really crazy, like take Levis. I honestly think Tyree Wilson might even be something that they're debating, but I'm gonna go a little bit chalky here. I'll go Will Anderson at 2. I do think D'Amico Ryans, they bring in D'Amico Ryans, he's defensive minded. I think that they probably think that they can get a QB at 12, like whether that's Levis who falls or Richardson who falls. So I guess I'll just take the cornerstone piece there.
What are the odds that they're the ones leaking all this Stroud stuff that they could get him at 12 instead of at 2?
At 12?
Imagine.
Honestly, like people are saying he could have that like Justin Fields type fall. I think part of the S2 article that came out, like they came out with an article that was talking about it or whatever. I think that they were saying they like brought up Ohio State as well. So they're like double counting, like, oh, he's bad S2. We haven't seen an Ohio State QB be good. So
I know.
Like he could slide. Like you're definitely right. Like he could go. I mean, we've seen him top 2 this entire time. Like he could be, 9th, 10th, 11th.
Hey,
yeah.
So
I personally laid cash on Anderson to be the 2nd overall pick because there was also a report that came out that Anderson has a perfect grade for them or something. D'Amico Ryans went to Alabama as well. Like it kind of makes sense. Like if they don't go quarterback, to me that they would go Anderson. But I mean, Tyree Wilson also is a possibility. So Dan, you're on the board here. Arizona at number 3. You sticking there? Or do you want to trade down? Because I have a couple teams I think that would like to trade up, but I do not control the one.
I got one in mind, and
oh my god,
we're calling up the Tennessee Titans. Ron, are you having any interest in trading up to 3 over here?
Yeah, I'll pick up that call.
All right.
What were you thinking, big man?
I was thinking, given past trades, we kind of see this top 3 getting a quarterback. It's gonna come at a price. So if we're looking at it right here, we got the Tennessee Titans. I think fair market value would probably be 11, the 24, and either the 25 or the 24-2.
Yeah, I'll do a 24-2. Why not? Let's shake on it. Give me that pick.
Let's go.
And I'll make the selection, I suppose. I'll sprint to the podium. I'll take CJ Stroud. I think this is where, like, if you're going to trade up for a quarterback, it feels like it would be one of these teams that probably has CJ Stroud valued at like a 1st overall grade. And they're like, all right, this guy's sitting at 3. The Cardinals probably want to move back here, especially if Will Anderson's not on the board and there's not like a true like blue chipper. I feel like would you guys put, I think Jalen Carter is for sure a blue chipper, but he has the question marks of the the off the field stuff. Like Tyree Wilson to me isn't a like, would you call him a blue chipper? Like the same as like, I'm trying to think through like, the last couple of draft classes, but obviously like your Chase Youngs, your Will Andersons, your Quentin Nelsons.
I personally think Nolan Smith's better than Tyree Wilson.
Really? Okay. Yeah. That's probably fair.
Also, this is a little tidbit too. So number 3 overall odds right now are CJ Stroud plus 250, Anthony Richardson plus 300. So the betting market kind of views them like very, very similarly. But the nugget that I found too is that the team to draft Anthony Richardson, the leader is the Titans at plus 200. So
I saw you post that under, I think, Sanderson's tweet, right?
Yeah. No, it's so connecting the dots, like if they have interest and they want to go swing and they want to go with, one of these top quarterbacks, like you kind of said, I think CJ Stroud or Anthony Richardson would be the guy that they would trade up for.
100%.
Yeah, I actually have a bet on the draft for Anthony Richardson to be the 3rd overall pick. My thought process is either Tennessee comes up for him, Seattle comes up for him,
Raiders.
Atlanta comes up for him, even potentially the Raiders come up for him. I think the 3rd overall spot is like almost a lock to be a trade. and it will be for a quarterback. And what we're hearing about Stroud potentially sliding or whatever makes me think that it would be Anthony Richardson. But I'm on the board here with the Indianapolis Colts pick. The betting market favorite is minus money right now on Will Levis. To me, I think it's going to be Will Levis. I wouldn't do this if I was them. And we've kind of gone full circle with like, oh, Will Levis is just going to be a Colt. Like we all expected that. Like back in January, we were talking about this, and then we were like, maybe not. You know, Will Levis could go here. He could fall a little bit. He could do this. I think he's going to be an Indianapolis Colt, a 4th overall.
Yeah,
I know your guy's boy Brock is hurting.
He's not having it.
I keep telling him, man, like, look, I was sick to do when we took Zach Wilson over Fields. I was sick to my stomach. That wasn't great. But then also, like, I would have the same thing if we took Josh Allen over Sam Darnold. So, like, look, man, there's a lot, like, you know, getting a toolsy quarterback at 4th overall. There's worse things you can do with your pick. Like, at the very least, if you take a quarterback there, it's usually a good process pick. Like, you know, like that could be Bijan Robinson, you know, like in another lifetime, that could be Bijan Robinson maybe 10 years ago. But we're on the clock with the Seahawks. And this is interesting because the last mock I did 4 quarterbacks right in a row. So I didn't even really consider the Seahawks taking a quarterback. I think that they would like Jalen Carter. I think that they'd be drawn to Tyree Wilson. I've heard that they might even have Tyree Wilson ahead of Will Anderson. Seattle does have kind of a history of taking these Big 12 guys. Like I want to say Bruce Irvin was. I want to say the kid, not Malik McDowell, but the other Collier.
He's Big 12. Yeah,
Big 12 Collier. I think the linebacker they took, I think, was out of Texas Tech a while back.
Brooks.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that those are on the table. But why not have some fun? Let's take A. Richardson here. He's a nice developmental quarterback. I'm sure that look, I'm gonna get my hand in the dirt here for some of this video. I think Pete Carroll, I think that him and Pete Carroll probably are operating like similarly in terms of the headspace. You know, like doing the backflips at pro day and stuff. You know, getting amped up. I think that one makes some sense.
And just for reference too, if you're looking at Anthony Richardson's team odds right now, so number one, like I kind of mentioned, Titans are plus 200. The Colts are second at plus 350. The number 3 team is the Las Vegas Raiders at plus 400, and steering right behind them, the Seattle Seahawks at plus 600. So, yeah, you know, they're a top 4 favorite for them. And after the Seahawks at plus 600, the next closest team is the Vikings at plus 1,600. So it's pretty clear right now that 200 to plus 600 discrepancy for the top 4 versus the rest of the field. The markets are going to favor one of those 4 teams getting Anthony Richardson.
On April 12th, I placed a bet the Seahawks draft Anthony Richardson at plus 1,200 odds.
It's plus 600 now.
It's plus 600 now. So I don't know. To me, it just makes sense from them. Like organizationally, you have a Geno in place for a year. You can let Anthony Richardson sit and develop. It's similar. I tweeted something out. It got so much traction. I didn't think people were going to actually take it seriously, but I was like, in 2017, a raw gunslinger sat behind the ultimate game manager with Patrick Mahomes sitting behind Alex Smith. And people were like, are you comparing Mahomes to Anthony Richardson? I'm like, no, that's not at all what I'm comparing. I'm comparing the situation that Anthony Richardson would benefit highly as a raw gunslinger sitting behind a guy who like literally came out and said he would like to mentor a young quarterback in Geno Smith. So to me, I think that's a great fit. So Danny, I believe you are on the clock here at Detroit.
Yeah, I'm on the clock here, and it's really between 2 guys for me. It's either going to be Devon Witherspoon or it's going to be the Jalen Carter stoppage here. It's a toss-up because technically the betting market right now, I believe, actually has minus money on Witherspoon going to the Lions. On the flip side, though, the betting market also has the Lions as the second favorite to take Jalen Carter. So if you're looking at it, it's close, but I will side with Vegas here. I will go with Devon Witherspoon. Obviously, just traded away Jeff Okudah over there to the Atlanta Falcons. So I think that they're going to take Witherspoon here at 6.
My question is why Witherspoon so adamantly over Gonzalez for you?
Just off the beat, what I'm hearing, a lot of Lions insiders basically have been saying the press man type of style that Witherspoon can kind of bring is kind of similar to what they had with Darius Slay over the years, right? So that smaller, sticky type of corner you could put on man, you can leave on an island and just kind of, you know, shut down the side of the field, I feel like is what's going to grasp them. Yeah, of course, you can argue from an NFL draft circles that Christian Gonzalez is the younger, more athletic player, But from all the buzz I'm hearing, Devon Witherspoon's their guy.
That makes sense.
First trait anybody brings up is toughness too, and that seems very Dan
Yeah.
Campbell-y. So this is so again. I also it sounds like I've placed a million bets. I placed money on this. I believe Danny also placed money on this. Wouldn't it be the most like Raiders thing of all time to draft Jalen Carter? Like to me, it seems like the most Raiders thing of all time. How many times have we seen, whether it was Ruggs or Damon Arnett, like these guys with potential off the field concerns going to the Las Vegas Raiders? To me, this is a lock. Josh McDaniels needs to save his job. To me, the best talent available on the board is Jalen Carter. He can make the biggest impact to that defense. Pairing him up with Crosby and, Chandler Jones on the outside could make them kind of like a very formidable front as long as Jalen Carter could keep his head on straight. I think they would run to the podium for this pick just because they're like, it's the Patriot way. We can coach out the attitude concerns and also just like the Raider classic, like Mark Davis might step in and be like, I know what my father would do right now. He would take Jalen Carter.
I can see it as well. It just makes
16-1 odds, by the way, to be the Raiders pick. And to me, or just to be 7th overall in general, it could also be via a trade up with like the Eagles or something like that. I wouldn't be shocked if Carter was off the board before Atlanta even gets to pick.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, I keep thinking. I think the Eagles are gonna come up and take Carter. I don't know, like, at what point he falls. I imagine Roseman's calling up and being like, "Hey, man, like, you guys don't want to take Carter. If he's up there when you're there, like, call me. We'll make some plays."
100%.
But all right, this is me here at 8, right?
Yep.
So this is tough. I think I've seen a lot of corners here, but now that they have, I mean, like Okuda's not a name, but I mean, like it seems that they're sort of building a little defense here. Bijan's obviously a name that we're thinking about here. Pretty much the 2 names that I've thought about here with the Falcons are Bijan and Nolan Smith. Every time I've had the Falcons, I've had Bijan there. So let's take Nolan Smith because he did kill the combine. He looked amazing, Georgia product. It wouldn't shock me if teams really pushed him up. My only thinking here with the Falcons is like they're not all that sharp. Like I have a pretty cool what do you want to call it? Like a chart. I think like Cleveland Analytics put it out where they have kind of what they've done in the past, and they don't really spend like they're not head over heels about spending their premium picks on premium positions, right? So I guess they're not a team that would force like edge rush or anything, but it is something I think makes sense.
For what it's worth with that as well, you kind of mentioned it. When it comes to Nolan Smith's betting odds right now, there's a heavy lean on his under draft position, which is at 12.5. I believe the betting odds have it at minus 250 right now that he's going to go under 12.5. And if we're mapping it right now, like you got the Falcons as a spot that make a ton of sense. But really after the Falcons, like I think the Eagles would make sense in this scenario. In this scenario, particularly obviously the Cardinals, but they're obviously slated at number 3 right now. So the betting market really can't forecast a 3 to 11 mood down. So realistically right now with how the market's going to be evaluating it, they're probably looking at the Falcons as a spot, the Eagles as a spot. And really
even Houston makes sense too.
Maybe, but it depends what they do at 2, right?
Yeah. Well, if they go quarterback at 2, then it makes sense that they could go edge rusher at 12 there. So yeah,
or actually,
we're going with Nolan Smith over Tyree.
I didn't know Tyree Wilson was still on the board, but that's fine. I think that works. I'm fine with them taking Nolan Smith over Tyree Wilson. Let's have Tyree Wilson fall a little bit.
Yeah, I don't mind that as well. Now we got a couple other listed here. So obviously the Jalen Carter was the highest odds for the Bears, but he's off the board right now. They're top 4 right now in terms of drafting JSN, but I don't think they take a wide receiver here. It's pretty tricky, honestly. And then, of course, they can go completely off the board and take a guy like Bijan Robinson. But if I were to guess it right now, I think that their lean is tackle. And for what I've been hearing, the buzz around this guy, we know teams like young ascending players with traits. I think it's going to be Darnell Wright.
Really? Yeah. 9th overall?
Yeah.
I've seen him getting buzz
right now. He's the favorite.
Really? He's the favorite to be the first tackle off
on
the board?
FanDuel. On FanDuel, he's the favorite to be the 9th overall pick.
Oh, okay.
Plus 300. So, and the betting market seems to think that Chicago will go offensive line because I believe like 3 or 4 of their top odds are, Skoronski, Darnell Wright, and the Paris Johnson types. So I think they're probably going to go offensive line, and Darnell Wright makes sense.
I'm seeing like plus 600 for him first offensive lineman drafted. If that's something that might interest
I put some money on it. put some money on it. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm on the board here with Philadelphia, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, classic Eagles fashion. They would run to the podium for Tyree Wilson. I think.
Oh yeah.
I think they'd take the defensive lineman. As much as I have a personal bet on them. Again, I make bets apparently. I have a personal bet on them taking Bijan. I don't think they would pass an edge rusher like Tyree Wilson for Bijan Robinson.
Yeah, no, I agree for sure. Like I almost it would be very Falcons to just pass on Tyree Wilson and be like, you know what, Nolan Smith, Combine Warrior, give him to me. Now, this is me with the Cardinals, right?
Yep.
So they trade back. Let's kind of go best player available here. I don't think that they would really expect Christian Gonzalez to be here at 11, but I think that would be a great, pull for them. I don't think they have anything at corner. Like I know Byron Murphy's gone. Maybe, I know the coach they brought in is from Philadelphia. I was going to say maybe they want to recreate the Patrick Peterson vibes and take a corner up top here. It doesn't seem like they have anybody sticking around from that regime, but give me Christian Gonzalez. Why not? Guy from the West Coast, lock up CB1 for him.
I dig that as well. And if you're the Texans here, you're pretty upset getting sniped. But if we're looking at it right now, the Texans are in a very interesting spot. They're currently the leaders to draft JSN. The question I have with them drafting JSN is if you don't leave the draft with a quarterback, what are we doing there, right? Like, would you rather build the defense in that spot and then focus on the offense in next year's draft and what could be a better draft class? Or do you just get the rookie wide receiver right now, let them develop for a year, and then maybe add, a May or a Williams? So because of the draft lane right now, plus 450 for them to take JSN, everybody and their mother from a betting perspective has JSN going as the first wide receiver off the board as a heavy lean. I believe he's minus like 400 plus right now.
Something like
so,
that.
If that's going to be the case, we're looking at the first wide receiver off the board. It's hard to envision it happening past number 12. So I'm actually going to take JSN here. I thought about it, but I just think it makes too much sense.
Yeah, fair enough. I personally don't think JSN will go. His lean right now in terms of his over under is it's set like as if the Texans are like the pivot point. I believe it's like 13.5 or something like that. And all of the steam is on the over, like minus 300 or something like that. So a lot of people don't expect him to go this high. They think he's probably going to go, closer to like Seattle at 20 or somebody like that. So I'm probably on the same page there. I don't think he'll personally go this high, but it's possible.
Makes sense.
Sure.
Yep.
So am I on the board here with the New York Jets? I am. Yes, so, Ron, I'll ask you as the resident Jets fan, are you looking at a guy like Peter Skoronski here and thinking that he could be a huge value? For what it's worth, he also has pretty decent odds to go pretty high. I think his over-under set at like 11.5 or something like that, and some of the steam is on the under right now.
Now, I would say if they're looking at tackle here, I don't think it would be Skoronski because he's like undersized. I've heard him sort of get compared to a guard, which it sort of would feel like a similar asset player as Elijah Vera Tucker. So I think they already sort of see that they have that. If they went tackle, I think it would be the other guys, but I do agree. Like Skoronski, it says he's going to go high. A place that I've been mocking him is that if quarterback's not there at 11, like I think Titans make some sense if they just want to get a cornerstone guy. But yeah, I don't know. You can say, Douglas took Elijah Vera Tucker. Maybe he just wants like another one that he could play at tackle and just play mismatch. Like we've had a million offensive line issues, but I guess everybody has offensive line injuries, but like Becton and everybody, just having guys you can flip around wherever. But yeah, I do think, of course, like tackle is what everybody has penciled in for sure.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think Douglas will care about the arm length. I believe that's the reason he's getting penciled in as a guard for the most part, and I think he'll take Paris Johnson
I agree
in this scenario.
Yeah, no, I agree with you as well. So the pick, Paris Johnson?
Yep.
Bet.
I would love JSN there, man. As a fan, dude, I would love JSN, but I am down for tackle. Of course, we'll protect Aaron Rodgers once that deal happens. Maybe it'll happen before week 1. We'll see if we can get lucky. All right, we have the Patriots on the board, and this is where Patriots, what they take last Cole Strange, man, like they just do not care at all.
Spot.
Show me the offensive tackle list real quick. Would he get weird and do like a Anton Harrison here? Skoronski kind of makes sense. I do think corner makes sense. Actually, give me all of the positions real quick. Let's scroll a little bit through. We got Skoronski, Quinn Johnston. think Joey Porter makes a little bit of sense for them if they want to go corner.
My bet, I have Zay Flowers to go first wide receiver, and I would not be shocked if the Patriots are targeting him at 14, which is why I think if JSN doesn't go 12 to the Texans, it's possible that Zay Flowers is the first wide receiver off the board.
I do pose a quick question too. With the buzz we've been hearing about Lucas Van Ness, does a team trade up for him with the Pats pick here? And then they trade down and get Zay Flowers.
He's been getting a lot of steam, Van Ness.
Yeah.
I know the Bucs like him, so they'd probably be interested in potentially trading up. Just in this scenario, I don't think they would, because I think the rest of the board is shaking out decent for them, because there's still like tackles on the board and there's still a couple edge guys. So I don't think they would probably make a move, but I know they took him on a top 30 visit, and they're probably quite interested in him because he's versatile.
Got another idea. What about the Ravens trading up for a corner?
I don't know. I think Banks will go high for sure, and Porter will go high, but I don't think they're going to be trade up guys, personally.
The reason why I suggest this is because if we're looking, Washington's probably going to be interested in a corner. The Steelers are most likely going to take Joey Porter if he falls. I think that's going to be a lock, to be honest. And then maybe the Chargers would be interested if one fell. But if you're picking at the Ravens, can you really risk both of these guys going off the board by your pick?
Dude, Emmanuel Forbes is somebody that's going to go in the first round too, that I've been hearing.
That's fair.
I wouldn't be shocked if the Patriots were the team that pulled that. Even though they got small corners already, they don't have a lot of size
Forbes
there.
At 14.
Yeah. They also took a projected guard at tackle with Isaiah Wynn. It wouldn't shock me if they just run to the podium and take Skoronski here too.
Makes sense too. I'm down for any option. Whoever's picking.
Let me get Skoronski there. That's who I was thinking. I didn't know if they would want like a tweener, but I think it just makes sense that they probably just want a player who is good at football. So I think that's a pick we'll make. I mean, they're an absolute wild card. I think like Bijan's even up there for consideration. If you want to get super, super weird, I think you can honestly list any edge rusher with like if you want to put Will McDonald there, like I truly have no clue what they're doing.
Will McDonald,
yeah, give me Skoronski.
So Will McDonald supposedly has a huge like cult following among the league circles. That's what Zerline said on ETR. He said that Will McDonald's going to go higher than people think.
Yep. No, I could see that as well. Now the Packers are on the clock, and I got control of this pick. I think personally, and I've talked with this with Corey as well. I think this is either going to be a defensive lineman or a tight end. I can't see them taking a wide receiver in this spot, especially if JSN's gone in this scenario. They have a young quarterback. Aaron Rodgers is going to be out of town, and their current pass catching group is one of the worst things I have ever seen outside of Christian Watson. You have Dubs in a 2 role. He's probably more likely to be a 3 long term. You have Samori Toure, I believe, as the number 3 right now, and their starting tight end is Josiah DeGara. I think if you're the Packers, maybe you're lower on the wide receiver class. Maybe you think you can get a speed guy on day 2. And you take one of the top 2 tight ends in the draft. Between Kincaid, between Michael Mayer, and if you want to make a shout for Darnell Washington, I wouldn't hate that as well. But I do think that for the most part, they would lean like a ready-made number 2 weapon on this offense behind Watson in terms of actually earning targets. So I'm set probably between Kincaid and Mayer. Which one would you guys see is more likely for them?
I think Kincaid would be the guy that they would go towards personally. If they're looking for a playmaker, like a pass catcher, I think that Kincaid makes more sense. They also just drafted like a, overaged prospect. So we know they're not like, in tune with the whole like analytics profile of Michael Mayer as well. So I think they would personally go Kincaid. But the sketchy thing about Kincaid is the back injury that, some teams might take him off the board or lower him below Mayer. Mayer is currently the betting favorite to be tight end 1 off the board right now. To me, it's a little dicey just knowing that he could slide a little bit given the issues and the fact that he couldn't test, but I think Kincaid will still be a high pick personally.
Yep. No, I don't mind that, so I will go with it. For the record too, in terms of position of Green Bay Packers drafted, so defensive lineman, like I kind of said, plus 200, they can go that way. Offensive lineman plus 300, and tight ends actually tied for second with offensive line at plus 300 right now.
Yeah, that's fair. I wouldn't be shocked if Mayer came off the board right here, like as the next player off the board, just back-to-back tight ends here. they have weird needs because they don't align with what they actually like. The draft is not giving you another quarterback here at 16. Most likely, it's possible one slides. The guards and centers are probably not good enough to go this high. Like, you're going to take an Osiris Torrance or a John Michael Schmitz here? Probably not. And I mean, like, Drew Sanders is like the best linebacker in this class. Like, he's probably not going to go that high either. So for me, I think they would probably just go like best available. And if you want to scroll down a little bit, I kind of like these 2 defensive linemen at the top, but I think they'd probably stay in Maryland here and take Deontay Banks probably if this was how the board fell.
Yeah, I actually absolutely love that fit for them there.
So with the Steelers, I have a hard time passing up on Luke Van Ness with them. I took an edge rusher when I did a mock, dude, and the Steelers fans are coming to my throat. And it's like, yeah, dude, I get that they have TJ Watt. I get that they have a pass rush, but this is the Steelers. Like, they like having a steel curtain, iron curtain, whatever the hell they call it. But even with all that, let's take Joey Porter Jr. We'll take a corner, Penn State. But I just want everyone to know Lucas Van Ness is very much like possible here. Let's go Porter.
He'll be gone by pick 19. I can assure you.
Did Porter's dad play at for the Steelers? Okay, that's what I thought.
Like 10 years.
Yeah,
he's on the
teams. I think Cansey is also a possibility given that he's, in Pittsburgh. And it's also been reported too that the Steelers are really in on Jalen Carter. And if he starts to slide, they might trade up for him. So that could tell me too that maybe they're just in on a defensive lineman in general, like an interior guy. So maybe Cansey being from Pitt and the fact that he's right there, it's possible that they could go for a guy like Elijah Cansey as well.
Yep. No, I can see it as well. And now I'm on the clock, and this pick is a lot more interesting than it was even 2 hours ago with the news of Jameson Williams getting a 6-game suspension for a team that probably has its eyes set on winning the NFC North, potentially competing in the playoffs. So you could look at a pass catcher here, whether that's, a Michael Mayer maybe to alleviate that, or potentially a wide receiver. The only problem with the wide receivers is outside of maybe Zay Flowers, I think they're all going to be picked within the 20s. So I'm in a dilemma here. I'm stuck between a guy like maybe Zay Flowers. Actually, they don't really have size in their receiving core right now. That's the thing. Because you got Jameson Williams, you got Amon or St. Brown. Like,
no consideration for Van Ness?
I would consider Van Ness as well. It's tricky. It's tricky, man. Honestly,
dude, if they take tight end, dude, I kind of love Darnell Washington for them, dude. Like, just as somebody like Campbell, like just absolute dog. He can he's a tackle out there. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. He just fits it.
On the flip side, though, Michael Mayer is also a goddamn dog in the run game, as Corey's going to say too. So
he's a better run blocker than Washington. I know Washington's bigger than him, and when he like pops somebody off the screen, he's throwing him out the club. But Michael Mayer is a better run blocker than Darnell Washington.
It's fair.
Yeah, you know what? I think now this heightens their need, because maybe before JMO gets suspended, you can say, well, you know what? We'll wait till day 2. We'll get a Sam Laporta type. We'll get, a Luke Musgrave and be happy with that. But because they need that tertiary weapon after Amon or St. Brown in the receiving game, I think that just kind of pushes the need up now. And Michael Mayer, we know he's going to go high in the draft, given the profile, given the receiving production, given how he plays as well as a complete tight end, that it wouldn't shock me if 2 went in the top 20 picks.
Yeah, that's a fair take there. I'm on the board here with my Bucks, right?
Yep.
Yes,
this is the easiest pick I've ever made. They would 100% take Lucas Van Ness here. Like, no questions asked. The major guys that they've taken on top 30 visits that I think, Pewter Report and some other like reputable sources have said that they're very much in on are Nolan Smith, who's not going to be there at 19. Darnell Wright, who sounds like he's not going to be there at 19 anymore either. And Lucas Van Ness. And I think those 3 guys would be very highly rated on their board. So for me, I think if any one of those 3 fell, they would auto lock be the pick. So I think Lucas Van Ness is an easy one here.
I like that.
All right. So we got the Seahawks here. I don't know why I'm struggling. Does anybody want to move up here? Does anybody have a wide receiver in mind that they might have? Like, does anybody I feel like like it wouldn't shock me if they did try and trade back a little bit here, the Seahawks. I have some teams, huh?
I think the Vikings might be interesting to come up for Cansey even too.
It could make sense.
Cansey could be their guy.
Yeah, like none of my teams, the Chargers probably wouldn't move up a spot. The Jaguars, who are they going to trade up for? The Bills, maybe you can argue receiver, but from what I'm hearing, and you guys will see in a second, their betting odds to take a defensive lineman are extremely high. And the Eagles at 30, I just can't see how we trading up.
You know what? I got one. The Baltimore Ravens would like to trade up for this pick to get ahead of the Los Angeles Chargers.
All right, sounds good. Hit me with the good stuff.
Yeah, I'll give you 22 and 86 for 20 and 123.
All right, sounds good.
Cost more, no?
It's a 2-spot swap.
Fair. Okay. All right, let's do it.
You get a third for a fourth. I think the Seahawks would be happy with that.
Fair. Move down 2 spots.
And with this pick, the Baltimore Ravens are going to select Zay Flowers, wide receiver from Boston College. I don't think that Zay Flowers will potentially even make it this far at 20. It sounds like the NFL's very high on the guy. Even though he's small, I think the Baltimore Ravens would be very much inclined to draft another wide receiver too, because Lamar, it sounds like, wants more wide receiver talent and wants more wide receiver help on this team. So even though they already signed OBJ and they have Rashad Bateman already, I think they'll probably want to add more to this team. It could be QJ. Maybe he fits because he's more like a downfield threat or whatever. But I think Zay Flowers is a better receiver, so I'll take Zay Flowers.
Yep, I agree. Now I'm at an interesting spot here with the Chargers because it's tricky. I was mentioning I think defensive line or tight end would be their biggest spots, but if we look at edge, who's still left? Maybe like you could look at Murphy, McDonald, maybe Adama, but I can't see them taking them at 21. And then we look at the flip side, tight end. I think they would want more of a proven pass catcher for Kellen Moore. As much as I like Darnell Washington, I just don't really see the fit there for the offense. So they don't know who to pick. So they're going to lean back on their highest grades, and they're going to take Bijan Robinson here.
I love that.
We stand Bijan to the Chargers. We definitely would love that from a fantasy perspective for sure. And I think even if, Eckler's there his rookie year, it's still, a great landing spot. He probably wouldn't, have like RB1 overall upside as a rookie, but he's probably still a guy that we'd be all excited about to draft at 101. So you are on the clock here, Ron, I think at 22.
Believe so.
Yes, that would be me.
Wait, wouldn't it be Corey?
No, because I traded up from Baltimore's pick.
Yeah, but Ron had the 20th pick.
Right, so he's picking
right. Okay, I'm mistaken it. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So let's make a pick here. Why not? I traded back 2 spots. I had a bunch of guys. With first round grades on them. And you know what? Let's go with Jordan Addison here. I like to take a wide receiver. I got to be honest with you guys. When I have been mocking for the Seahawks, like wide receiver was never really on my list, but I do understand that after Metcalf and Lockett, like they got nobody out there. And I guess what Addison, I mean, you guys would know a little bit better, but he can play inside, he can play out. You can, sort of give you a little bit of an underneath option. I think that they probably do want somebody that's a little more yak oriented, right? Because it feels like they don't have like a playmaker in space underneath. And I don't think Addison gives you that, but he does give you a little bit of a different element than the other 2 wide receivers. You give Geno Smith some help. You give your new quarterback, Anthony Richardson, some help in this mock draft. So why not?
And now Zay Flowers and Jordan Addison will be compared for the rest of their careers.
If there was a betting line somewhere that I could bet those 3 receivers to be the first round receivers, I would do it. I think that they're the 3 that are going to go in the first round. And the other guys are not. Personally, that's how I'm going to put it. I also think that QJ is probably like a top of the second round type of pick, but I've also heard conflicting reports that some teams view him still as like the wide receiver 1 in the class or whatever. So, Minnesota's on the board here. Is this me or is this you again, Ron? I think this is you again.
Ron.
Yeah, I think this would be me again. We're looking here. I have to be honest, I didn't have something queued up. What kind of corners do we have on the board right now? I feel like there's we do have Emmanuel Forbes up there.
Forbes is the best, yeah.
They also could go branch too, even if they want to just play him at nickel.
Maybe a guy like DJ Turner who's been getting some buzz, but other than that, yeah, it's probably him or Forbes.
Here's the issue: the Vikings do love themselves some money ball. They brought over the guy from the Browns, like Masai.
Masai Ujiri.
Yeah, I don't know what his name is, dude, but he loves himself a little money ball, little drafted only premium position. So does Emmanuel Forbes have a good RAS? Because if he does, then he's the pick.
Probably not, because he's 160 pounds. So I'd imagine his size part of his RAS is terrible. But he did run in the 4.3s.
Let me wait for Kentley's site to load up here. Actually, it's not even loading.
I got it right now. He is a 9.25 RAS.
Despite being that size.
So yeah, so basically how it broke down was his weight was 0.17 percentile. Literally 0.17, not even 1.17, 0.17. His 40-yard dash 9.75, 20 9.49, 10-yard split 9.65, and then his verts were still like close to about the 8.0 mark, 37.5 and 10.04 for his broad. So his best comparable is like a guy like maybe like DRC.
Can you scroll through the best available players real quick? I just want to make sure I'm not I hate how PFF has these guys ranked too, man. Yeah, nothing really sticks out. Give me Emmanuel Forbes. They're taking another swing on a Mississippi State corner. This time not the guy who runs a 4.6, right? That was Cameron Dantzler, I believe. See, I know a couple defensive players here and there. Ball. So now who's on the clock now at 25 or 24?
Should be me, and I think this would be a phenomenal fit for them, but let me just check to make sure there's no more quote-unquote valuable positions available. So if we're looking at that, like, yeah, if a really
I think Broderick Jones would be interesting here, man. I think
Jones would make
it would make on their mind.
It would make sense, and as we know, when there's a split with who to draft, I'll go with the more valuable position. Because I was stuck between a guy like Broderick Jones. I was stuck between a guy like Brian Branch, and then they wouldn't take a tight end because like the only one like we've kind of talked about with me and Corey is Kincaid would be off the board, and that would be the only one that would kind of fill that Engram role if they wanted to move on. So it's tricky, man. It's tricky. It would be between Brian Branch and probably Broderick Jones for me if I would
pick Yancey if this was me making the pick, because you have two guys that are like big edge rushers on the outside that demand a lot of attention, and you get a speed like 3 technique like Kalijah Yancey to work up the middle. You're kind of like adding strength to strength. To me, I think Yancey would be a great pick for them.
What I'll do is I'll quickly look at their odds for position to draft and kind of see like how it's.
My guess would be that it's like safety and tight end as the top two. I don't know if they'd even have it listed because they're like a small market team. They usually only have like the Cowboys, Packers, and Patriots and stuff listed.
So I actually got it in order right now. Cornerback would be their first at plus 175, but there's no corners available. Number 2, defensive lineman. So we'll go with Kalijah Yancey then. Appease the betting markets.
Yeah, I think that's a good fit for them. I think you got two guys on the outside that are already good. I mean, at least Trayvon Walker flashed a little bit, and a defensive interior guy would make a lot of sense. So the Giants, I don't think they'd take a receiver here. I think it's pretty easy to just like auto smash a receiver for them. Again, they're one of these teams that doesn't have like the needs of the draft match up with the needs of their team. Like there's no great linebackers. Maybe you go Brian Branch at safety here. That's probably the direction I'm going to end up going because I just don't love the board otherwise. So I'll take Brian Branch here at 25. They'll probably look for a receiver in the second round, whether it's like a Jonathan Mingo or a Cedric Tillman or somebody like that. I think they probably want size at receiver. So QJ is a possibility at 25, but I think they'll probably bypass him for a defensive player here and then look to the second round for a receiver.
Now, Ron, you have the position of the draft right now. Where are you leaning at 26?
The position of the draft, dude. This guy, yeah, everybody's holding their breath for number 26 here when the Cowboys come up. Dude, I gotta be honest, man. If Broderick Jones made it this far, dude, I think teams are begging
trade up,
to move up.
I can see a spot maybe if I have one. Like
I do feel like, do the Cowboys have they traded back ever in recent?
Yeah,
was the CeeDee Lamb trade back or no?
Travis Frederick in 2013, they traded down from the mid first to the end of the first and picked Travis Frederick. A similar situation maybe this year with their interest in Steve Avila, they trade down maybe top of the second for a team that wants a tackle. That would make sense too. They could just take Broderick Jones because let's say you want Tyler Smith at left guard, you want a succession plan to Tyron Smith. I think that makes sense, but. Who are the teams picking at the top of the second? Like who would be like the Steelers? Maybe did they get a tackle?
Steelers, Houston, Arizona, Colts.
Would the Steelers trade up for Broad Jones here?
I mean, I could see it If Chicago was picking 32, then they'd be a good team. But I think we already picked a tackle for them anyway. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting. I think the Bengals like seem like they need offensive tackles, but I think their position group is already kind of wrapped up, is it not? Like, don't they have the guys there with Joe? Who's playing their right tackle spot? It's not still
well, Leo Collins got an ACL.
Yeah, and he's like been a cut candidate for a while too.
It's possible that they would potentially move up 2 spots to go for a tackle here.
Could make sense.
My question is, do you guys think that teams have enough of a high grade on Broderick Jones? Like, the issue with this class is there's so many tackles. Like Anton Harrison's going to be up there.
Zerline said Broderick Jones is lower for NFL teams, which I personally don't buy because NFL teams are so enamored with like big programs and like winning teams that I think a Georgia offensive tackle with 2 national championships to me is like more likely to be the first tackle off the board than he is to be the 4th or 5th tackle off the board. So I don't think Broderick Jones would be here, but it's possible that Zerline's right and they don't have, the NFL's not huge on him.
Let's do a trade back with the Bengals. If the Bengals are
no, I'm down to come up for him. I think he could play both sides. So we'll go we'll give you
like that.
We'll give you 92 for like 129. Yeah, that's fine. I don't think it would.
You like that, Danny?
I'd be okay with it. I'd be
okay
with it for sure. What the fuck? Okay, there.
Just it was not letting me trade value. Why not?
Yeah. So the Bengals will take Broderick Jones here. I think they'd also be kind of interested, maybe even two, in like Miles Murphy or Brian Brzee with that pick. But I think Broderick Jones, you get yourself at least one tackle to build around, hopefully, because I mean, is Jonah Williams good? Like, I don't think so, right? Like, is he even still their starting left tackle?
He has been in every single trade talk I've seen in Bengals forums.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think just adding a body to that position, because you don't know if your left tackle is good. You don't really have a right tackle. Like, you probably need a tackle. So, yeah, I think that's a decent pick there. So you are on the board.
I'm on the clock now.
Buffalo here, Danny.
Yep. And like I kind of alluded to, that they've been talking about takes an edible again. Jesus.
Minus 350.
Yeah, I'll definitely smoke something. Now, am I going to go with an edible? Probably
I don't need to carry that.
No, okay, hear me out. I'm fine off flour. If it's an edible, never again.
How about we just have some drinks so you're alert and awake, so I don't have to literally talk for 4 straight hours.
Last year I was fine and I smoked a J. So I think it's the flour versus the edible effect.
Okay, well, I mean, I would prefer you just be alert in any way.
Okay, so let's look for the biggest fucking defensive lineman here, and that's going to be the fucking Bills pick.
I kind of love that.
That's all they do, dude. They just take fucking mammoths. Like, do they take Brian Brzee?
I feel like they take like a back end of the first D lineman every single year.
Dude, but they're interested in it again, and the betting market has it as the favorite too.
D lineman?
Yeah.
What's the second and third favorites?
Second and third favorites are Bills. Where are they? Okay, I can't find them right now.
I don't think they would take a wide receiver here. I don't think they'd be in on a guy like QJ or Downs or Hyatt or somebody like that.
Bills. So plus 150 at D line, plus 300 at linebacker, plus 390 at wide receiver, and plus 460 at offensive lineman are their top 4.
Again, another one of these teams that just like the board doesn't really match up with what they need. So you're right. They probably would just draft like Miles Murphy here and just call it a day.
Murphy or like a Brian Brzee is what I'm guessing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they just drafted Rousseau, 2 years ago? They drafted who did they draft last year? Oh, they drafted Elam, right? They drafted a corner last year in the first round.
They got Boogie Basham a few years ago. They brought back Shaq Lawson. Like, it doesn't make sense, but every single time you hear Bills Twitter, they're like, yeah, we're taking a defensive lineman. Yeah,
I could see Brzee being the pick here. They probably would go interior, I'd guess.
Yeah, it'd be between Brzee and Mozzie, but I'll go with Brzee just because the upside here for him.
Okay, so Ron, you're back on the clock here with the Cowboys, I believe.
All right. Now, I can't say... Danny, what do you think that they're sort of looking at here at 28? Are they looking at their boy out at TCU? Like, is Miles Murphy, has he fallen too far?
Or Will McDonald with the NFL reportedly being high on him could be an interesting one here too.
Yeah, if I were to guess here, they would probably be looking between a few options, right? So a wide receiver, they could go with a QJ, but I would doubt it personally. If they're going to go with TCU, they're going to go with Steve Avila. So, I mean, speaking of that, Steve Avila would be in the discussion. Will McDonald would be in the discussion. Maybe a Mozzie Smith type would be in discussion. It's tricky. After that, those are probably the options that I can see the Cowboys going with here.
I think Washington would also be in play.
Yeah. Oh, Darnell Washington was the other one, right? I meant to mention that name.
They're favored right now plus 175 to pick a tight end as their first player drafted. So I think Washington would realistically be a good option here.
I agree. No, I think it makes a ton of sense.
Man, dude, Mike McCarthy, Coach Martellus Bennett over in Green Bay potentially,
and Mercedes Lewis too, I believe.
And Mercedes Lewis. Let's do Darnell Washington. I kind of like that buzz. Washington to.
Speaking of, hear me out too. Speaking quick, guess who the team was that drafted Martellus Bennett way back in the day?
The Cowboys.
Oh yeah, buddy. Second round, I believe. What 08 or 09?
That is true. I forgot that he bounced around a ton.
Yeah.
Cowboys,
he
Bears.
had some good years too, man. I remember the year on the Bears, he had like 91 catches or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we are on the board here. Who's got the Saints pick? I believe it's you, Ron, right?
Oh boy, me again. This is one where it's very weird. I don't even really have a grasp for what the hell the Saints' tendencies are.
No, their tendency is to invest in the trenches, and I would guarantee that this would be Osiris Torrance. I would guarantee that
Osiris Torrance, you think?
Yes.
Or John Michael Schmitz.
Like, just interior O-line to me just seems like exactly the direction they would go with this pick. But it's possible the corner class is pretty strong. It's possible that they go with a corner, but they're like all off the board, I believe, right?
Yeah, they're pretty much all, unless they're reaching, but yeah.
Let's do that. Let's do Osiris Torrance. Put him up front.
Hog Molly.
My chart here has that they don't like they're outside the top like 10 to 15 in picking premium positions in the top 2 rounds. So I mean they probably won't shy away from taking a nice little guard there.
Need to share
they picked Ruiz in the first round a couple of years ago as well, and I don't know if he's been good. They also picked Andrews Pete in 2015, I think, too. So they've actually gone interior offensive line quite a few times. Maybe that was like the whole like, oh, Drew Brees doesn't like pressure up the middle thing, but I still think that like it would hold true in their front office.
He has 21 drafts on his resume. Mickey Loomis, this New Orleans GM or whatever.
Mickey Mouse, more like it.
Now the Eagles are on the clock here, and this is straight analytics pick. They're going to go with the value position. We already know that's going to happen. But what if they go with Jahmyr Gibbs?
Oh my God, dude.
Well, they got a great value at 10 with with who did I pick for them? Tyree Wilson falling to them. So they already got an edge guy. I think they could go Anton Harrison at this pick. I think that would be also interesting. But I kind of like the Gibbs pick, to be honest.
They are. So in terms of their odds, though, the only question I have is for Gibbs to go to Philadelphia. They are like listed. What would that be? Like 12th, 13th in terms of odds order
for Gibbs for
betting market.
I think he's also like plus 350 or plus 400 to go in the first round period.
Yeah. As much as I want to do it, it seems like a top of the second, like Arizona, maybe Houston.
For what it's worth, QJ is the type of receiver they could use. You got like your do-it-all guys. Both of their receivers are already do-it-all guys. Your role that you're replacing is like Quez Watkins and like a design touch like deep threat, and that's QJ to a T.
They're not even have they met with QJ though? They're not even listed under
no
his
idea,
odds.
No clue. But I think it would be a good fit for their offense.
It would. Oh, what would they do though? Is what I'm thinking.
If it wasn't Tyree Wilson, I would say Myles Murphy, but I agree. I am kind of stumped.
I would say they'd probably go offensive line with this pick, just knowing how their tendencies are. They might go with like a Harrison, DeJuan Jones. Maybe they go interior with like Avila or something like that.
Ooh, hear me out. Lane Johnson's getting older. They don't really have like their left tackle Jordan Mailata as well, so I guess he's solid too. But Lane Johnson is getting older, and they've kind of shown in the past with the Jurgens pick last year, with offensive line picks in the past, that they like getting ahead of the curve.
A couple of years ago, they picked early in the draft as well.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take Harrison. It makes a lot of sense. Like if they had went Skoronski or something at 10, then at 30 you're just like, okay, edge rusher. But with the flip with Tyree falling to them, I do think Harrison makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty easy pick. it's one of the two edge rushers for the Chiefs here. As much fun as it would be to give him QJ, I think it would probably be. I'm trying to think the type of edge rushers they have. They have more size usually, but they also deployed D Ford for a couple of years, so they've gone for like the smaller guy. I think Will McDonald, there's real steam around him going round one. So I think Will McDonald would probably be the guy that I would go with. Miles Murphy's kind of hit or miss. Sometimes I hear people say that he's going to go like top 15, and sometimes I never hear him get drafted in the first round.
Both the Clemson guys are tough. Like him and Brian Brzee. Like I guess the story with them is they popped early and they're high recruits, and then they kind of either had injuries or fizzled out. So
that's
yeah,
the story with Brzee, I believe. I'm not exactly sure what the story is with Murphy.
Yep.
So I'm taking Will McDonald here. I think he's going to go in round one.
And giving that claim as well, Chiefs odds of player drafted, defensive lineman's number one at plus 175 right now. So
yeah, definitely makes some sense there.
Yep. So overall, we can get this.
We'll tweet this out, get people's thoughts on it or whatever as well. But yeah, I mean, I like it, man. Like,
oh yeah,
the quarterback landscape is difficult to navigate. I personally, if it was me, I would have went with Richardson at 3 instead of CJ Stroud and had Stroud fall to like 5 or maybe 7 or maybe 8 or something like that, or maybe the Falcons trade up. But I do think if I had to like pick quarterback to landing spot, I think Bryce to Carolina is very obvious, and then I also think Levis to Indianapolis is probably going to happen. And then it's just a matter of where does Richardson go and where does Stroud go. And I think Richardson's going to go to one of like Seattle, Indianapolis, Atlanta, or Las Vegas or Tennessee if they trade up. And then Stroud will probably just kind of slide to like the back end of the top 10. I didn't think I would be saying that, but I think he's probably going to go from 5 to 10.
Yeah, no, I could see it as well. It's tricky. Now, how would this change hypothetically here? Let's say the Titans made that move. They got Richardson. How does it change in terms of ripple effects in the draft, do you guys think?
You still think Levis goes over Stroud at 4?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Man, that's crazy.
The Colts definitely seem like the type of team to really care about these like smarts scores. And I think Levis being like one of the higher scoring guys in it for a team that we already knew would have kind of already liked Levis, just given the tools that he has. I think they would I think Levis is probably QB2 on their board.
Dude, I'm going to follow my mock from last year with an absolute brick, bro. Like this is
a hard draft, man. I think last year's draft was much easier to predict because I thought
one quarterback in the first round, dude, like easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Stroud could go all the way to like imagine that he goes to 12, like he goes to the Texans at 12, dude. Like that has to be his boiling point, assuming that
I think Atlanta would pick him at 8. I think that would be the floor for him. If the Texans wanted him, they'd probably have to trade up above Atlanta or Vegas, maybe at 6.
Yeah, Vegas probably has to. Yeah, Detroit. There's just no way. He's probably gone by the time the Bears are up.
Yeah, I would imagine he'll be gone by the top. But I do think all these QBs will be gone in the top 10. Zerline also said that he wouldn't be surprised if one of them slipped to the teens or potentially the 20s, is what he said.
I believe it. Especially when you have like 4 guys in the top 10. Like I feel like we always have. We saw it with Fields slipping. I think Rosen might have slipped to like 11, 12.
Hey, I will take CJ Stroud as a Buccaneers fan. If he's going to slide, I will. If he's in striking distance at 13 or something like that, and we trade up with your Jets, I'll gladly take CJ Stroud and forego the Caleb Williams tank. That'd be the only condition I would do that. But
with this tackle class, dude, I would love that, bro. If Todd Bowles wants to use any of his Jets connections, dude, come on, bro. Come on down. We'll go to 19, and I'll take any of Anton Harrison, Darnell Wright, whoever is there, I'm fine with. Roderick Jones.
I think Darnell Wright will be gone before you guys pick. To be
Darnell
honest,
Wright.
I think this 9 to Chicago. One of the most confident picks I feel about is that the Bears are going to pick Darnell Wright. I think it's definitely going to happen.
Really?
The odds are like plus 300, and they moved 200 points since yesterday too. Like it seems like it's catching a lot of steam. So that's the mock. Again, we're going to tweet it out. Make sure to go give your thoughts over on Twitter there. I have to piss like a racehorse.
I just tweeted it out. So perfect.
Yeah. So we're going to head off of here. I believe Ron's going to upload this to his channel after the fact or whatever too. So you can check it out over there. If you're not following Ron for whatever reason, make sure to go check out his channel. Ron Stewart there on YouTube. He obviously specializes in the spreadsheet nerd type of energy. So we definitely appreciate it. We're in the middle of a Devy draft right now, drafting the college players. I secured Amika Egbuka at the top of the draft at 5, I believe, or 6 I was picking. And I traded back into the end of the second or the beginning of the second round to take Malik Neighbors from LSU. What did you guys end up doing with your picks so far?
I'm excited about mine so far. So as you two know, I got the second overall pick, was able to snag Mr. Drake May at that slot. It was between him and Marvin Harrison, but because we're doing the Devy portion before the NFL portion, I want to give myself as openness, as how do I explain it, as flexibility as possible when it comes to the NFL side. So getting one elite quarterback prospect in the system kind of opens me up at 10 to where, like, if Chase or Jefferson fall, I won't feel bad at just taking them over a quarterback. And then I ended up trading up for to go get my guy Donovan Edwards in the second round. Traded up to from the late second to the mid second to go secure Donovan Edwards. I'm gonna say right now he's the best running back at Michigan.
Really, I actually agree. I mean, I agree prospect wise, but I think that's probably the consensus.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Catches way more passes, and then in the games without Corum, like he was ripping off like 20 for 200 the last like 4 games.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like him too. I thought I was saying it earlier. Like when Ian traded up, I thought he was going for Edwards. I know his model likes Edwards already. My RS grades have Donovan Edwards as RB3, like literally right there next to Travion Henderson and Rocket Sanders. So he's great. I went a little bit different route. I double tapped quarterbacks that like I'll probably have kids by the time that they play. But it's Arch Manning and Drew Allar up top. I double tapped 2 quarterbacks real quick. We'll come back around. I still got my eye on 2026. I don't know that I want any player before then. Give me like I want to draft a kid in 8th grade, bro. Like let me write that in, dude.
Yeah,
Let
if you're not watching
let me draft the rights
tape,
to Darnell Wallers.
Dude, when we're doing our what's up?
I want the youngest Devy team possible. I don't even want like those guys. I don't even want to see on my team for a while, dude.
Hear me out then, Ron. We should do later on, like either this year or next year, a campus to Kansas. So those youngins are just accumulating points in the college end.
Dude, I have one of those with Nelly, dude, and literally, there's no shot I could ever manage one of those, dude. Like fan tracks, like dude. There's no weekly rankings or projections, and the injuries all over the place. Like it's a nightmare. I'm honestly very lucky that he asked me to co-manage a campus to Can team with him. We won in our first year, like an analyst league. Like we did great. But in terms of the college side, dude, like he runs the entire thing. I'm like, dude, like I got nothing, bro. Like he started like. I think the guy's name's like Dorian Finn or Daquan Finn out of like Kent State, bro. Like the guys who are putting points on the campus side, dude, are like, I don't know, like UAB quarterback. Dude. Like these guys might as well be generated names that I recruited on NCAA 14, bro. Like I don't know who these guys are.
Dude, I shit you not, by like round 5 or 6 in the fucking like campus can draft, I was just like YOLO vibing it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, but then I ended up looking at because the league I was in, Campus Can, I was with Ian. That league ended up folding because a couple of guys in there were just fucking like horrible in terms of like chat and like just overall attitude. It was just not a fun room to be in. But then I looked over like the team that I had got, and I got like Drake May in like the 7th round. I got Dorian Singer in like outside of round 20. I got fucking like Tajay Spears in round 20 or some bullshit like that. And I still had like I think I traded Jordan Addison for Raheem Sanders plus with Ian. Like my team was low-key fucking dominant.
Sweet.
Anyways, we're going off the rails now. Let's wrap this thing up. Like I said, like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Check out Ron's work. But with that being said, peace out. We'll talk to you soon.
Dope.